Right. Good afternoon and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the School of Code Q&A webinar. My name is Faisal Ali, and I am as an assistant coach at the School of Code. I was actually a boot camper way back in 2023, which was last year. Graduated in February, and I'm actually excited to be with you today and join some of our. I have three incredible alumni with me today to answer your questions about the boot camp and the application process. So whether you are in the application process or you are have completed it or even thinking about the boot camp, this Q&A session is actually for you, right? So let me introduce the panelists that we have. We have with us today Martina, Reese, and Becky, each of whom have gone through their own bootcamp experience, unique experiences, and have given us their special time and their time to be with us today. So I would like to pass on to first, let me introduce the incredible Martina.
Thank you, Faisal. Hi, everyone. My name is Martina. Before the joining the School of Code back in September last year in 2023, I was working as a clinical nurse specialist and I also trained as a psychotherapist. But I did fancy a career change, and after completing the boot camp, which ended in January this year, 2024, I worked my ass off and finally landed a job as a basically as associate engineer or junior engineer in backend at Depop in London. And the bootcamp experience for me was quite a great and transformative experience because it really helped me to get started in my coding journey and like provided me with the tools that I needed to continue on the journey after the bootcamp ended.
Incredible. Incredible. Thank you for that insight, Martina. And could I quickly ask Reese as well? What could you tell us a bit about your background and what you're doing now?
I certainly can. I was a recent law graduate. As soon as I graduated, I went traveling for a little bit and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had friends who had completed the course and had done very well for themselves, even to this day. And I thought I'd give it a try. And I did just that. And now I'm in the process of interviewing with multiple tech companies. And I'm hoping by the end of the month, I should be employed. Well, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens.
In That is incredible. That sounds great. Yeah, best of luck with everything with that. All right. And of course, I haven't actually had the chance to meet this incredible person, but I've heard lots about her. Miss Becky Floyd, please introduce yourself. Take the
Hi.
stage.
So I'm Becky Floyd, and I used to work at Citizens Advice, managing volunteers. And after 18 years, I decided to change careers. And one of my friends recommended School of Code, and absolutely fell in love with it. I went more down the UX, the user experience route, than the coding. And I got a position with a startup, and after School of Code, and then I'm now in the NHS as a UX designer. So. That's me.
That is incredible. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Becky. Now, just to give people an idea, what we're going to be talking about today is what exactly is the School of Code? What is it? What do we stand for? And hopefully to answer any questions that you have along the way. Now, the School of Code is literally a free intensive online bootcamp that's designed to help people from all backgrounds. It doesn't matter what you have been doing, what your career is. In fact, it's actually nice to see people go through a career change of whatever they were doing before into the tech industry. And we are on a social mission to open the doors of tech to absolutely everyone, regardless of any kind of previous coding experience or any kind of tech experience. So our boot camp runs for 16 weeks and is a full-time commitment at the moment. We are actually funded by the Department of Education, and our boot camps are available throughout the year. I believe we complete about two boot camps and then a half, which follows on to the following year. Now, to be eligible for this boot camp, you have to be 19 plus and living in England for at least the past 3 years, with the right to work within the UK, and not have participated in other schools boot camps within the same financial year. And lastly, you should not already be working as a developer. So again, the idea is for you to be not know anything within the tech industry or coding, and then to actually come to the boot camp. And here is where we open the avenues and the doors. So moving on to which part of the process that you're in. Let's say you are on the process of completing the application, right, for the bootcamp. Now, as you've seen that there are several steps to the application, and in the first stage, you create your own avatar. Right? I had so much fun doing this. I had so much fun making this avatar just to actually code it and then actually see the result and then be able to save these avatars for me. And we actually use it in our Slack and stuff. Now, um, you use this, you create this using a platform called the School of Code Playground. You also have to record a short video answering some questions that are related to the bootcamp. Where another task is to create a game within a program called Scratch. Super fun. I absolutely loved this process of making the game. I've never played Scratch. I've never actually used Scratch. I say play Scratch because I was playing my game that I made on Scratch
Yeah.
so much afterwards that it's like a gaming platform for me now. But anyway, as well, another thing is like when you do the application, we like to see like an intro of what you have done and why it is that you have applied to the School of Code, right? Because you know we want to see exactly what it is that motivated you to make this change, you know, and also we want to see your problem solving skills, you know, your basics of problem solving skills in our application process, which gives you a chance to demonstrate your passion for the tech and your hunger for learning and your commitment to the course. So if you're currently going through your application process and perhaps stuck on a task or wondering what's the best way to complete it, we thought what better people would 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 be best to hear from than our alumni that we have with us today, which I mentioned before has, you know, gone out of their way to give us our time. So enough about me and waffling on about the bootcamp itself. Let's hear from these incredible people, please. Becky, I would love to ask, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with the first task, the video task, the one that is that where they tell them, yeah, open up about themselves?
But I found this bit really difficult because I'd
Yeah.
never recorded a video of myself before, and then you watch it back and you're like, "Oh my God, my voice sounds like that. It's horrible." And it's just like it's quite an emotional experience. But the advice I would give is break it down into different sections. So when you're going through the different questions, plan out what you're actually going to say beforehand. Maybe think of some visuals, like some photos that would match up, and then you can share your screen with that and just record little sections at a time. And then you can use something like Canva to put them all the sections together. So rather than having to do the full video in one take, put it into little sections, and then ask somebody to watch it back and give you that feedback. Because different people's opinions, they might notice something that you've missed. So I'd say that would be my advice.
God, Becky, that is incredible advice. You know, I cringe quite a bit when I look back at myself recorded, whether it's a voice or video or
Hate
whatever
it.
it is. But like you said, you know, the best feedback is when you actually look back on it, and if you show it to someone else. Yeah,
100%.
no, much appreciated for that, Becky. Reese, I've got one for you. The avatar itself, right? How did you approach this when you first saw it in the playground? What did you think?
Well, actually, personally, as soon as I saw this particular task, I kind of just wanted to read up on what HTML and CSS was. I actually wasn't familiar up until that point, and that took me down a little bit of a rabbit hole into free code camp. Some of you may be familiar. So I had actually personally did a few of the free code camp courses on HTML web development essentially before I started on this avatar creation. And so I'd recommend just reading up a little bit beforehand, just seeing what HTML and CSS really is, as it is the foundational building blocks for all of web development. So it's important that you have a good comprehension of what these things are. But my other tips would be just to keep your code neat and organized and just have fun with it and just use it as an opportunity to showcase your creativity and problem solving skills.
Do you know what, Reese? I find that really interesting that it spun off like a chain reaction into other platforms and things that we would suggest actually looking into, like the free code camps that are online and available for free. Yeah, that's really interesting. I opened a small rabbit hole as well when I opened up Scratch and stuff, which brings me on to Martina actually. Please give us your experience of what did you find about the Scratch platform and the program that you found interesting, and how did you tackle it?
So I think that Scratch game is when I first experienced imposter syndrome.
Okay.
I went online and like tried to figure out how people used it and saw children using it and like
Uh,
creating amazing stuff. And I was like, I can't even put two pieces together. Well done. I think that like at that stage, I was just sort of like probably I felt like maybe giving up. I spent a good 2 days just sort of like trying to figure out how I was gonna complete this task. And I think that there was a lot of like I'm not gonna be capable of building a game. Like this is just not in my, in my bones. And then so what I did, I was just like trying to build smaller functionalities, like trying to like add the score and make it work. Or I was trying to like make something move and then eventually change the position. So I found that by breaking down what I was trying to do in like single tasks, I could see that I was actually succeeding at it. And then eventually I was able to put them sort of more or less together. And the final game was like a basketball game, which was simple enough. But what I found personally was actually had so much fun playing the game afterwards. And I did build it. So there was a great sense of accomplishment. And
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna ask Martina, like, how did it feel? Because obviously, with imposter syndrome, it's something that, you know, a lot of us go through at some point. And for you to actually feel that so early on, pretty much at the initial stage, to overcome that yourself without tutors or any coaches or anyone available, like, how did that actually feel on your own?
I think it felt very great, and it's something
Yeah.
that was mirrored alongside the whole bootcamp. Really, like your struggles are never ending. My struggles right now, today at work, are just never ending. So, I feel like the idea of yeah, you might feel bad, and that's okay. Just stop, break it down, make it simple, to tackle and to attack the issue, and then put it back together. I guess
Exactly.
that mindset came with me throughout the boot camp and still here with me now.
That is incredible to know. That is incredible to know. What a lesson learned, And it does differ. Like you said, it does differ to the individual. It's subjected to the individual at what point they actually come across that stump. I met my imposter syndrome in my third week with JavaScript, and it was a very lonely time. But that feeling, Martina, like you mentioned, that feeling of being able to overcome that. It's such a feeling to remember that you just carry it up until the end of the boot camp and so on and further, right? Yeah, when you're in your workplace. So yeah, thank you so much for that. That's great advice from everyone. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you actually complete these actual tasks, that is when the team will review them. And if you are successful, you will move on to the selection process, and which is what we'll talk about now. Onto the selection process. Once you have successfully completed the initial application stage, the bootcamp selection process includes a set of coding relating tasks, one short one-to-one interview, and then a live group session. The tasks actually help us engage your commitment. The interview helps us understand your motivation and your dedication to the course, while the live session actually gives you a taste of the boot camp and to see what it's like and see if it helps you and see if it helps us to see if you're a good fit for the actual learning experience itself. Now, moving from that, Becky, what do you feel would be your top tips to give to someone who's preparing for, let's say, the one-to-one interview? Let's say someone who's actually thinking, or has any kind of experiences or bad experiences with interviews or nervous about interviews. Becky, what would you say would be like the main points to remember before going into that?
So, firstly, this interview is not going to be like a job interview. Everyone at School of Code is absolutely lovely. It's just going to be a nice, pleasant chat where they're going to try and find out why do you want to do this. So, I would really prepare and have a think about what you've done in the past and why you want to change now. So basically, just talking about yourself and just showing off who you really are. At some point, they might ask you a question that you're not sure of the answer of, and what they want to see is that you can break questions down and say how you would approach that. So if they ask you a question where you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't know. However, this is how I would approach finding out. So it's all about how you learn and your motivation. So, but it was a really, really nice chat. I had it with Chris, the top guy, and it was a lovely chat.
How Becky, how important is it to be yourself?
Well, this is what they want to see. They want to see that you're the sort of person that is going to fit in with School of Code. So just be yourself and just show your passion if you can.
Thank you so much for that, Vicky. I appreciate that. And Martina, you know what? Knowing that you was about to go to the boot camp live sessions. Remember when we had the live sessions for the, I think it was a couple of weeks, right? It was like a month running where we had live sessions. What advice would you give to applicants for the live sessions? What's the top tips that you would think? Because we are placed in a session where it kind of resembles the boot camp, right? And you are placed into a team and you are observed to see um, what you are like really in this environment. So, Martina, what would be your top tips for that?
I think I'm gonna mirror something that Becky said about being yourself. I think that apart from the interview, people want to see, like the School of Code wants to see how you interact with other people and generally like, how you treat other people. And so I think that these kind of situations are where if you're just being yourself and not playing a part, you're just gonna hit the nail, like you just have to like have fun, work on the task, like, and especially communicate. I think that there is, um, in tech, no one works alone, and there is a huge emphasis on like teamwork. So it's really about how do you treat others and how do you speak with others and how do you create that interaction with people that you never met? Because that's also real life. So generally speaking, join like you would join any event in your real life. Just because it's behind the screen, it doesn't make it any different. And no one is there to judge you. And again, imposter syndrome might appear if you happen to be in a room with someone that just sounds so much smarter than you, which
Mhm.
happened to me, of course. But you overcome it because no one is smarter than you. You're just not there yet. So
Exactly. I don't think I could have put that any better. So thank you for that, Martina. Excellent. And do you know what? The last other bits was the actual tasks that are actually set for you to complete before the. So I think you have the I think you have the live sessions after the before the tasks, I believe. But Reese, if you was to go back to when you did the materials, so that includes the pre-course works with the JavaScript basics, diving into CSS, and then the intro into Git and GitHub. What would be your tips on completing those?
Yeah, so um, I would say something that I think upon reflection I did quite well is I took a bit of a proactive approach in terms of my learning. Before I even knew whether I had a position on the course, I was learning. The HTML, CSS. Once I finished the certification on that on the free code camp, I started my learning on JavaScript, and I think this paid dividends down the line
Mhm.
if you can just get to learning as soon as possible, even if it's an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever you can do. Um, that won't just pay dividends for this particular task. It will pay dividends for the rest of the course because you won't feel like you're so far behind, or you won't be so overwhelmed when you're confronted with these tasks. So that's my first one here. I've got two more points on this. It's that resilience. You will inevitably run into issues with CSS, it's not centering. There's a common meme upon devs where it's very difficult to center a div, and you might run into an issue like this down the line, but it's important to be resilient. You will figure it out. The information is online. You are not the first person to come across this problem, so you will do that. And if it's taking you a long time, go on a walk, take a break, and especially with tech, you'll find that these ideas just to pop into your head on a 5 minute walk, and I highly recommend doing that. And oh, that actually was my last point. It was take breaks, take frequent breaks, especially when your head's hurting and you've done a lot of thinking. Go on a walk, go look at a tree, and you'll be all right. Don't worry.
I can't put more value on that, Reese. That is of such high value. Thank you for that, Reese, because it's one thing to think or to know what to expect, right? But then not knowing what to expect and then given these tasks to actually do on your own just to see how you cope, really, it can be a daunting experience. But like we said, don't let it defeat you, don't let it scare you or intimidate you at all. Just keep looking up and give it your best, right? Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Reese. Thank you very much. Now, that actually leads me on to how the boot camp itself works and how it runs. Now, how our boot camp is a fully interactive and collaborative course, right? But what we have now is we've used a flipped classroom approach, which is like an internship model. Now, this is where boot campers are given access to resources to prepare in advance for the live sessions. So when I was at the boot camp, we had it from 9 till 5. But Reese, I believe in your cohort, you experienced the flipped classroom procedure, right? Where you would come in the morning and then you would finish up midday so that we encourage you to work by yourself, right? Now, the internship model means that each week's learning is based around a real tech role. And we bring the industry experts to give a real world context, right? Now, you get the chance to experience being a front end engineer, a QA tester, a back end engineer, a UX UI designer, a database engineer, and so on. There are so many roles that this kind of framework can lead to. And the technical stuff is actually integrated with the teamwork and the pair programming, the mindset, and of course the industry experts. But more importantly, it's about learning how to learn, right? It's not about learning the entire code language. It's about knowing what to do if you came across a situation where you would have to learn something quickly. You've got the experience here. Now, if I can, to the lovely panelists that we have today, please could you share with us your experiences, like the highs and the lows, and how you found, yourself going through it. If I could ask Becky first, what was the highs and lows of your bootcamp experience in general as a whole?
So I really like how you learn a little bit about everything. So you learn how to do the coding, but also the testing. And I discovered user experience, so UX, and helping users make products better for them. So the highs I'd definitely say was learning a bit of everything because now when I'm working in the industry, I know what the devs are going through. I know what the testers are going through because I've done little bits myself. Um, the lows, it can be really difficult when you're trying to learn something and you don't get the answer straight away, and you can feel like an imposter, you can feel like you're stupid. And the way around that is by reaching out to the community. And that's the great thing about School of Code. If you're ever stuck, you can put on the Slack, I can't do this. And immediately someone will jump on a call with you and they will help you out. So I really would say don't struggle alone, always ask for help.
That's right. You're never alone here. Yeah, we open the door to our community here, and you're stuck with us for life, right? But
It's so true.
Becky knows this, right?
You can't get rid of me, can you?
Yeah. Can I ask what year was it that you graduated from?
So I was 2021, so during the
That's right.
pandemic years, so
Which cohort was it? It was cohort 6, right?
six. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
So what are we
And
on at the moment? Is it
We
like
are on 17 right now.
I'm
Yeah. So
OG?
yeah, we're not getting rid of Becky. You know, she's staying with us forever. You'll see her when you join. All right. So,
Brilliant.
and Reese, please, what were the highs and lows for your time here?
Yes, I think for me the best part was the hands-on learning and real world projects that we got to participate in. This does put you in really good stead for when you're doing your job interviews, however many months down the line.
Mhm.
You get to talk about how you worked in a team, how you worked whilst pair programming, and all these other methodologies that you'll pick up along the way. Um, just learning about how you do work in a tech team. It's quite an authentic experience. And in terms of the lows, you'll find points where you fit. It's been mentioned. It's that imposter syndrome, but I feel like you'll feel a little bit silly sometimes, and you'll see other people that you perceive as very bright on the topic and very and doing very well. And comparison is the thief of all joy, as they say. So if you can try not to do that, it's easier said than done. That will carry you on quite well. I think for me personally, if I don't know if this advice will relate to any of you, but if you can kind of anchor yourself onto a rock on which you know that you've put this effort and time into solving a problem before. So for me, it was I've spent tens of hours sitting do it towards the end of my degree, just trying to get the best grade that I could. Um, Not that I went into my degree, it was just I just wanted to get a good grade, and I did just that. But I know that I can sit here for however many hours, obviously with adequate breaks, and I will solve the problem. I will come to that final solution. And if you can kind of anchor onto something like that, I think that will help you on along the way.
That's great advice. That is really. I wish I heard that. Where was you? Where was you when I was in the boot camp? I would have thrown you my anchor, mate. And because it's imposter syndrome is something that we all suffer from, right? One way or of another. Whether you could be the best coder in the world, but there's always a moment when you can ma meet your match, and you can be made to feel, a certain way. It's how you deal with it. It's your reaction to that kind of situation that is important, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that also, if you're feeling that imposter syndrome, it means you're in the right place. You're learning, you're uncomfortable, you grow in that comfort, and it's just I think if anything, it's an indication that you are doing the right thing.
Being comfortable with uh, being comfortable with being uncomfortable,
That's the
right?
one,
That's the one,
yeah.
Reese. That's the one. And of course, Martina, what was your highs and lows when it came to the learning aspect?
I think I want to start with the lows because then we can end with a high.
I love that.
I think that my personal lows was that I wanted to like try my best at it, and I just like sort of like switched off the rest of my life and dedicated every weekend moment including breaks uh and sometimes even without breaks though to like try and like practice what we were learning so that I was able to follow so definitely not something that I would recommend, but I also do understand that sometimes it is needed. For 4 months of my life, I just locked myself in my house and I, just studied. But it's definitely like looking back, probably a low moment of the bootcamp experience. The high side is, I guess, why I did that. Famous words from a coach. You get out of it what you put into it. And I think that
Mm.
the words stuck with me a lot into my success was in my own hands. And I couldn't blame anyone else, if I wasn't going to be successful, but me not, having practiced enough or tried hard enough. But at the same time, I think that also it's really about like the small wins. So every so often during the boot camp, looking back at like the tasks that I completed weeks before and just looking how small and insignificant that then looked and just remembering how difficult they felt. And like that was a great reminder of how much I've learned without even realizing. So I think that it's celebrating the small wins is also about celebrating the small wins that you had that you
Hmm.
didn't realize that you had when you had them.
That's right. That's right. No, of course, I think it's massively important to celebrate your small wins. I agree with you, Martina. I mean, like, what benefit did it give you to celebrate those small wins?
I think that definitely like reaching out to the final project, I
Hmm.
felt completely capable of, building something because I did it already without realizing that all those weeks across the boot camp. So definitely, the feedback that we got at the end and like looking at our application was like, the final sort of like assembling all the things that, we put together during.
Right. Do you know what and do you know what that leads me? I understand we're slightly constrained with time, but I'm just going to quickly run by how important it is that what Martin is mentioning, that that sometimes we need to have like a support system in place, and we have this with uh, our mentor mentee program. Within the boot camp, every boot camper has a mentor that helps give guidance, offers help and advice throughout the boot camp with one-to-one sessions. And I know that Becky has experience as a mentor with for many of the boot camps that we've had here. Becky, do you have anything to share about being a mentor for the mentees that you've had?
Yes, so during my boot camp, I had a mentor called James who was just a wealth of help and advice. So when I felt comfortable, I decided to do the same. And it's really, really nice being able to share what you've learned with other people. It gives you a sense of enormous well-being. But it's really, really helpful while you're in the boot camp that you know you've got someone that's already in industry that you can ask all this advice of. So you have that extra support. So really take advantage of your mentor. Make sure that you're meeting up with them every week and asking them all those questions that you need to know.
Thank you for that, Becky, because my mentor saved me many times.
100%.
After 5 o'clock, I would see my mentor and I would let out. I would love to just have a couple minutes to just rant,
Yeah,
just let out stuff that I just couldn't throughout the day. And they are the ears. They are there to listen and not just listen, but hear you, and
100%.
it was a part of the program that I really appreciated. And just going off the back of that, Becky, please give me one thing that you loved about the boot camp that is not tech related. Something that you enjoyed, maybe an energizer or just the fact that you got to
The Christmas
collaborate.
party. So I organised the Christmas party at the end of the like the at the end of the boot camp because we had such good people. Like I'm still friends with a lot of people from my boot camp 3 years later. Like actually you'll meet the best people because the School of Code recruitment process is intense, and if you get through it, you are the best of the best. So actually having those people in my life now is just brilliant. So steal all the people, I would say.
That's that's incredible. Thank you for that, Becky. And Martina, do you have something that you've taken away as a ultimate high, but not tech related?
Mm, oh gosh,
I know it
just
was meeting me, Martina, but all right, let's exclude that, okay? Something else.
I think that's generally you know, m meeting a lot of people and just I guess like realizing that I shared like this journey with so many people that they just came from whole different like backgrounds and like works and like just like how we were all there, like with the same desire and with the same, kind of like drive and that was really nice to see, I think, like that it doesn't matter who you are and it doesn't matter, your age or anything like that. Just like people are just want to learn, and that was amazing.
It's an incredible feeling, right? It was incredible. And the reason why I know Martina reaps what she sows is because I never actually had the chance to work with Martina, but she made such an impact in that boot camp that I just knew her, right? I just knew of Martina, and when I finally got to meet her in person, it was incredible. What a firecracker! Thank you so much for that, Martina. And Reese, hit me with something that you loved.
I'll keep it I'll keep it quick. You enter into a community of thousands of other boot campers, and is going to benefit you down the way. I think you're going to be able to reach out to these people, ask for help. They'll hop on calls with you, ask any questions you need. But yeah, you're entering a massive community of very, very helpful people. It's really good.
Definitely. I totally agree with that, Reese. Thank you so much. And you know what? You three, thank you so much for giving up your time today and joining me today and joining us and helping us with your tips and your advice and your experiences. Really, it's very valuable for people who are thinking of joining, who are actually through the application process. And yeah, I personally would like to thank you. And I thank you on behalf of the School of Code and everyone who's watching. And to the audience who's with us today, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been incredible catching up with these three incredible panelists, but also to provide any kind of advice or tips to yourself. Just remember to complete your applications by August the 26th if you are applying. And if you haven't applied and you are thinking about it, I hope this webinar has answered a few of your questions and has encouraged you to actually push that apply button, click that apply button, and I will see you in the next one. And I understand that we've had quite a few questions come through over the last few days for today. I do apologize. I personally apologize that I haven't had the time to be able to answer them because I've just been yapping about how great this experience is. So I do apologize. I haven't had the time to look through them, but we will be looking through those questions and we will be replying to them individually by email later today. And just know that the next bootcamp actually kicks off in November, bootcamp 18. And if you are uh, just remember to when the initial tasks are submitted, it's only then that we will review your application and then invite the successful applicants to our live session, which should be next month, I believe. So yeah, I will personally see you there. And again, round of applause to the panelists. Thank you so much. And round of applause to the audience. Thank you for joining us today. This is the School of Code. My name is Faisal Ali and School of Code signing out. Thank you once again.
Bye.
Bye.